All right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Hammer Time listeners. We are back today reviewing another Power 4 conference, this time with the ACC. I know yesterday we released the Big Ten preview and the breakdown. Today is the ACC. Today we have just Jake. But yeah, we got your spot for honest college football ball talk, if that's what you want to call it. Maybe a little trash talk here and there
on this conference.
You guys know us already. I'm not going to introduce anything. So yeah, we're just going to give you our thoughts and looking forward to the breakdown of a sneaky conference this year. All right, first up, kind of going to dive right in here. We have Clemson. Obviously, this year, Clemson is the easy favorite to be the champ. But honestly, who else really contends or gives them a run for their money? Is that going to be SMU after a bounce back after last year's heartbreaker in the conference championship? Following the debut season, by the way. Debut season, conference title berth, that's following a group of 5 season. Where'd they come from again? Was that American, right?
American.
Yeah. Another one of the biggest questions in this conference is it Miami, if they're consistently good on both sides of the ball for once. How far of it a reach is it to say Louisville with Miller Moss or Duke makes a little bit of noise and makes a good run at maybe contending for making a berth? And the biggest question mark in all of college football, in all of the conference, and if not all of college football, is Mike Norvell and the Florida State Seminoles. That's got to be the biggest one. So we're going to break down the schedule of basically key games, marquee matchups by the week, and then pretty much give you a breakdown and a preview of each team. So I'll let Jake review the schedules, and then we'll kind of go from there.
All right, Clemson's schedule. We've got the biggest game of the year probably for them, LSU in week 1 in Clemson. They'll go at Georgia Tech in week 3. They'll have a bye in week 5, and then they'll go on the road to North Carolina, then on the road to Boston College, then play SMU, have another bye, then get Duke at home, FSU at home, at Louisville on a Friday, and then, of course, they'll finish with the rivalry game in South Carolina.
It's kind of a gauntlet, like sneaky gauntlet, but it's a decent gauntlet.
There's a stretch in there that's got some... You got some teams in there. You got some sneaky teams.
They have, I'm going to say they have 2. If we were saying like there's top 5 games out of the conference, 2 out of the 5 are belonging to Clemson. I would say so. Playing at Louisville, hosting LSU at the very first game of the year. That's South Carolina, of course. It's supposed to make a bit of noise. It's going to be... I don't want to say it's going to be a cupcake year because obviously it's never going to be a cupcake year. But they're a very complete team. They definitely are capable of doing what they need to do and accomplish. Anytime you have a veteran quarterback, it's always a reassuring thing. But basically, obviously, yeah, like we said, they're the easy favorite. I have them projected 8th in SP+. I have them projected around 10 wins even, around 7 wins in the conference play. National average for returning production at the moment is about 53% this year, which is absolutely absurd. Clemson's returning production is at 80. So
stupid.
Yeah.
Both of those numbers are stupid.
That's very stupid. I agree. Obviously, they're bringing back Klubnik, their top 3 of the top 4 receivers, Antonio Williams, Bryant Wesco, TJ Moore. Those guys combined for over 2,000 yards last year, catching 52 passes in 2023. 20 touchdowns last year. 52 passes in 2023. That's unrealistic, yeah. Okay, so obviously if you throw in the rarities of it, they do have a transfer receiver as well that was added from Missouri State. Shout out Conference USA. And then you pretty much have a tantalizing skill core, even with the loss of their leading rusher with Mr. Maffa, who is a dog. Jay Haynes is obviously easily tops Maffa by averaging like almost 7 yards a carry, and it's a small sample, but he's coming back from a late season ACL tear, so he's decently limited there. I think this is going to be one of Clemson's best offensive line in years. And years is like speaking a lot of years. They returned 4 senior starters. That's pretty much you can leave it at that. I mean, there's an all-conference right tackle. They jumped up to 16th in offensive SP plus last year, a humongous distance from where Deshaun Watson and the Trevor Lawrence era kind of ranked, and an insane improvement from the 2021 to 2023 those kind of units, which only averaged a 50.3 rating in terms of SP plus, which is
DJ.
Yeah. So, if huge returning production results in improvement, and quite frankly, it does, they could easily have their first top 10 offense in nearly half a decade, which is extremely possible this year. And defense, meanwhile, ridiculously young, insanely young defense. Probably one of their youngest defenses since Brent Venables left, probably when they were kind of in their natty era. I don't want to call it a natty era, but when they were serious contenders, I guess is the right word I'm looking for. 18 defenders saw 200 snaps. 13 of them returned. 9 of them are still only sophomores or juniors. So still very young, but they still have studs all the way around. TJ Parker had 11 sacks last year. Peter Woods had 7 tackles for a loss. Dude's a beast at like 300 something pounds. And then you have linebacker Sammy Brown, 11 tackles for a loss, 5 sacks on his hand. And then Terrell returning, one of the best cornerbacks in all of college football, probably the best in the conference at that point. Rare senior in the linebacker, Wade Woodus. How about that name? Mr. Woodus.
That's like a college football name.
Yeah. They did get an edge rusher from Purdue, who was a decent transfer there, had 11 tackles for loss, and Purdue's defense is pretty bad. So that's clearly their best player who is out now. But definitely could add some star power. After the defense, I think the defense got worse for 3 straight years under Goodwin. And then Swinney thought pretty much like a steadier set of hands, basically, with Tom Allen. So improvement is obviously likely. The first defensive SP plus top 10 ranking since 2021, I don't think is necessarily a big reach here. So it's no brainer to pretty much put them at the top of the ACC pile. They're one of the surest picks to make the playoff this year. And quite frankly, there's not really any reason to put them below that mark. But I'm excited to watch them this year, honestly. I mean, I'm not necessarily the biggest Dabo fan, but he's a great coach. And if they're ever going to be elite again, you figure it's going to come with this incredibly experienced team. If the offense, which has obviously lacked pop for years, is ever going to produce lots of explosions again, it's going to be Klubnik to Wesco, Moore, Haynes, all of those guys. If the defense is going to rebound, it's going to be with a combination of the new proven defensive coordinator that they've got, and then it's going to be a lot of fun, of course, finding out what they can do and develop over the course of the year. But huge test week 1. That's going to tell us really early on what they're capable of. So,
yeah. Yeah, just to add to it, not much to add to it, but you've got Clemson right now plus 110 consensus to win the ACC. Your next one is Miami at plus 390. So heavy favorites there. 8 of the last 10 years, Clemson has been involved in the ACC championship in some way or another. So it's a pretty safe bet to bet on Clemson to at least make it. There are questions. This team isn't invincible. They were not able to run the ball last year. That has to be something they improve on. They had a guy that is on an NFL roster right now, and they still couldn't run the ball. So you have to be more explosive in the passing game. As good as Klubnik's been the past 2 years, there has to be more down the field, which there should be with this wide receiver room. Garrett Riley in year 3, their offensive coordinator with Klubnik, is going to be a big deal.
Yeah,
And also them being 1-3 against SEC teams with Klubnik there's concern there that
there's
they haven't
pressure.
been
There's a lot of pressure.
able to beat teams better than them. And in the ACC, there usually hasn't been, so they haven't had to do it. But lost to South Carolina two out of the last 3 years. Now you play LSU. You lost to Texas. So if you're going to win a natty, which obviously we've bet on them to do,
I think, yeah, I was going to say you have them at an insane number.
yeah, plus 2,000. But even at the number they're at right now, they've got to beat a team that's from a different conference, which they haven't done since DJ beat Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this team should win the ACC. However, there's still questions on if they can beat an SEC team, a high-level Big Ten team. But I do think they're really good. I think they'll make the ACC championship game. They'll probably win it. I think they'll be in the playoff.
I just think it's Klubnik Heisman to lose at that point with the amount of arsenal that dude has right now. He's probably the best quarterback in the country, more than likely. It's pretty close. He's top 3 if not, but that's a debate for another time, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were top 30 in offense and defense last year. So, it's hard to improve from top 30 to go say, yeah, there's a chance that both of these units could be top 10. And when you're top 10 in both, there's not really much wiggle room after that. You're either pretty much bust if you're top 10 in both, in my opinion.
And it's possible they could be top 10 in both.
Yeah. It's just when they got some tough road games, though. When they're at SMU and they're at Louisville and they're at USC and Georgia Tech, it's hard. It's hard. It's going to be I don't want to say it's a daunting schedule, but it's not the easiest thing in the world. They've got to definitely be on their toes and obviously slip up in games like they shouldn't.
Yeah, playing 2 SEC teams, playing the 3rd and 4th highest odds teams to win the ACC, one of them being on the road. And you get wild cards. You get UNC, you get Duke, you get Florida State.
You're going to get their best.
You get Georgia Tech. Yeah, and you're going to get everyone's best shot. So, yeah, when we talk about these teams, there is not a single team that we will talk about that is just a bona fide playoff or national title winner.
Yeah, I don't think for like this year, I don't want to say for once, but I don't think there's necessarily a lock for a natty winner
But this is the closest you're going to get to one.
That's because like last year, obviously we said the same thing about Ohio State. They were very incredible in returning production last year. Phenomenal defense, the best defense they've ever had. Offense-wise, they put up numbers consistently, and look how that turned out. Obviously, you put 30 points in the natty, and then you come out on top. Obviously, that's what's going to happen. This is exactly how I feel about Clemson this year, if anything. So,
we'll find out week 1.
Yeah, literally. That's quite literally it. Moving on to the second team on the list is Miami. You're going to break down their schedule as well.
Yep. So we've got another ACC team with a tough out of conference schedule. They're going to play your Fighting Irish at home in week 1. Then they're going to play Florida in week 4, then have a bye, then go to Florida State, have another bye, play Louisville on a Friday. They're at SMU in week 10. They have NC State in week 12. And then to end the year, they go at Virginia Tech, at Pitt.
I don't know what to say because I don't know where to start. This team, specifically Mario Cristobal, is it crazy to say? I don't want to say if it's crazy because last year definitely helped out his case a ton. I don't want to call it a make or break year, but I can't really get past that. But then again, when I look back at I forget, was it Syracuse? They were down 7. I remember this game so vividly because it was viral on like social media for like 2 weeks straight. And they were down by 7. It was 4th and goal. and under like 4 minutes in the game.
Yeah.
And Cristobal pretty much took the ball out of Cam's hands and was like, yeah, we're going to kick it here. and
when
hoping
your
they
defense
got.
hadn't had a stop all game.
They give up they gave up touchdowns in 4 of the last 5 possessions.
Mhm.
They pretty
Yeah.
yeah, like they pretty much no showed for those like 2 months within that season last year. And if you're praying for one stop, and it's painfully obvious that that would not pay off, and of course it didn't. Cam proceeded not to touch the ball again, and then next thing you know, Miami loses its ACC title and college football playoff hopes in one call. This season, I can't stress this enough. This season is literally his, and like it's a coaching thing more than it is necessarily a unit thing. And this wasn't nearly the most disastrous game management decision that he's made since taking over. But once again, I think it crystallized the contradictions pretty much inherent in the Mario crystal ball experience, because we've seen him do it multiple times. He's going to recruit the gangbusters. He's going to field an insane talented team, and then when it's time to win these games, he's going to make a grave. He's going to make a grave site, and it's just nuts. I don't understand. Terrible first season. I have them projected this year 12th in SP plus, nine wins projected, 6 in the ACC. And then you look at obviously his first season, 71st in SP plus, and that was in 2022. So obviously there's improvement. We've seen improvement. We thought Andy Reid was a terrible game manager, and I mean, like look where he's at, I guess now. I'm not necessarily saying Miami will be the team in this year in the conference, but I think there's a decent chance. Carson Beck is obviously the biggest addition on this team by far. It's not even close. He pretty much was like a coin where heads was looking like the best quarterback in all of college football, and then on the other side, it was throwing ridiculous interceptions that should never have even been thrown, and there was 12 of those, mind you. I'm not the biggest Beck fan, I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's okay.
It's hard to be. I don't think you can be a Beck fan. I think you're more of just a Beck defender.
That's true. After everything that dude's been through or done, whatever, I don't know. Nah. Into the running back room, I know they got Fletcher Jr. They have Jordan Lyle. Those guys combined for over 1,000. They do have a deeply experienced O-line, though, which is something that's kind of been rare in Miami's era of time. But they have completely rebuilt the receiving core, which doesn't necessarily return anyone who caught more than 10 passes, which is nuts. I mean, they got CJ Daniels, which is a standout LSU, Liberty. You guys know that guy. Kalen Marion. He's from BYU. And then they did get a couple of young guys, obviously, who did return, and Trader and Lofton. So is that going to be enough to make an incredible amount of noise in the passing attack? Me personally, no. In my opinion, this is going to rely on the defense and pure game management. Like I said, I can't really stress it enough. Offense covered for the defense pretty much as much as possible last year, and they went 3-2 actually when they were allowing 34 or more points, which is quite literally insane. But obviously he needed a lot of new guys on that side of the ball, and he got it. So did have a new coordinator from Minnesota, I believe is where he's coming from. Does take over another guy that returns 5 starters, 9 transfers. Obviously the defense looks decently okay because of the 2 returning starters on the front line, and they are both tackles, combining for 9 sacks, mind you, which is decent impressive there. I think they have a pretty nasty pass rush. If I can be real, Kind of compare them to. I don't want to say they're as good as like A&M, but they have the talent, I guess, to put up similar numbers that they did last year. But they got 4 new corners, which is quite a good amount for the defense, I would say. So, I mean, I've already said it like 3 times. It's going to depend on coaching, in my opinion. I like what they will have in the trenches, but despite the occasional interceptions, the turnovers, he's a very good quarterback. But I mean, they're going to need some miracles. They're going to need some teardowns from this wide receiver room and the secondary to pretty much stick like glue. And I'm pretty sure later in the season they will kind of glue together eventually. But I just don't think he will have enough strong pass catchers outside of Daniels, in my opinion. So different year. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I agree.
And I know you're high on Miami, so this is honestly like an interesting conversation to have. But that's
so
just, yeah.
The reason I'm higher on them is I'm not taking into what Cristobal is going to do down 7 and 4th and goal. Like I can't take that into account. You can take account some of coaching. It's hard to do when you project things. But
Right.
I think the biggest thing is this offense could look a lot like 2022 Georgia.
Yeah.
Where Beck isn't asked. Sorry, 2023 Georgia, not 2022. 2023 Georgia, when Beck wasn't asked to do a lot, where he was a game manager and they did run the ball. I think you could see, because that's what Cristobal wants to do. He doesn't want
Right.
He doesn't want Cam Ward doing what he did last year. As cool as it was, he wants to run the ball. He wasn't. I want to. Wasn't he an O-line coach when he started? I think, or something like that. But
I think so. No, you're
yeah,
right.
they're going to want to ground and pound. They've got good lines of scrimmage. I don't love the schedule with Notre Dame, Florida at SMU, Louisville on a Friday. Like I don't love, and I don't like the back-to-back cold weather games at the end of the year. But I just feel like this team is going to be so polar opposite of last year that a lot of people are going to be really down on them. And they still have a great talent level, even with what they lost.
They're incredibly talented. Yeah, I wasn't trying to take that out of account, but yeah.
Like they do have to rebuild the wide receiver room. Someone has to catch passes from them. But
yeah,
like, I like their backfield. I mean, you have like Beck was terrible last year, but Georgia also led the country in drops.
They did.
So, I mean, I don't think he's the best quarterback ever, but I do think he's good. And I just have a hard time with a guy that recruits that well, just saying that they're going to not be good just because of the talent they lost. I do have him in the ACC title. I'll go ahead and get that out of there, but I think they're going to be good.
It's not a reason to put them there.
I just think it's going to be different.
It's not your traditional Miami team.
No.
We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, and I think that's what Cristobal wants it to look like this.
Which it's just, I get it. It's just not what college football fans are used to, obviously, because you think of Miami, you think of turnover chain type era stuff.
Andre Johnson,
it's
Michael Irvin, Ed Reed.
Just star-studded offense all the time, no matter what. And then you have this as your room, and it's just like, all right, it's like, when's the fun start? When's the 500-yard passing game come out of nowhere?
The fun is going to be rushing for 7 yards per carry against Boston College in the middle of the year.
Time of possession by like 10 minutes every game, probably.
Yeah.
There's your answer.
Yep.
But they're going to find a way to win games. That's Cristobal, though. He's not a bad coach, but it's just
he'll lose one.
Yeah, there's some decisions in there where there's going to be questions. Obviously, he's got one every season. That's a given. Yeah. Like you said, it's hard to project things like that when you have stuff like that into a matter, but that's the game. So
yeah,
not really much else to add there. If you don't, we'll go ahead and move on.
Louisville,
sweet.
Schedule, honestly, pretty bad. It's a pretty bad schedule. James Madison week 2, who's one of the best group of 5 teams you'll get this year. You're at Pittsburgh in week 4. Then you get a bye in week 6. but then you play at Miami on a Friday. You play at Virginia Tech in week 9. You've got Clemson coming in week 11. Following that game, you have at SMU, and then you finish with Kentucky. I don't like the road trips this year for them at all.
I don't like. I mean, not only the road trips, but I mean, obviously hosting Clemson isn't necessarily. Let alone it being that late in the season already scares me enough for both teams. Really, I don't really think. I mean, honestly, there's a solid chance that Louisville might be out of it by the time they play Clemson. They could just be playing spoiler. We don't really know yet. That could be the game that kicks them out. But I mean, we were talking about this, I think, in the very first episode of the pod. But JMU and Louisville, about that spread, we're already going to be taking JMU.
I mean, you kind of have to.
Yeah.
I mean, Louisville could. I mean, do we trust that Louisville can stop anybody after what happened last year? I don't care how many transfers they bring in. JMU could score 35.
Yeah, that's true. That's a fair point.
Louisville score 42.
They
and
did
they'll win, but I mean, I think a JMU cover. I'll definitely be looking at that week too.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be like a POD or exclusive play of the pod or whatever. Hopefully that line drops. It's gonna be like 20 plus something maybe. Do you think it's gonna be that high?
No,
17?
12, 14, 14.
No, we were talking about that, not 20. Yeah, we already talked about this.
I don't know.
I already looked it up. The line's not up yet, I don't think, but
I was going to look.
Yeah,
I was going to look at some projections while you talk.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say I have a ton for this team, but at the same time, I kind of do because of how excited I am for the offense. Mainly, I love Jeff. I'm the biggest. I absolutely love this guy. I have them projected to 24th in SP Plus this year. Projected 8 wins, projected 5 wins in the ACC. His Louisville, specifically his teams, it's a very hectic program. And like, if we've noticed something like a common denominator in these 3 years is that change quite literally never stops. Obviously, you go back to 2023, took over a team that was like 8-5, 7-5, whatever it was. They lost 25 guys, brought 25 back in, made them 10-4. They were 34th in SP Plus, and then you go to 2024 postseason, you end up losing 30 guys, and then you bring 30 in, and then further improvement with 21st in SP Plus, and then you end with a 9-4 record. So the offense, 1,000%, no doubt about it, got better each and every year, while the defense and the special teams got extremely worse. And by theory, which I think you were talking about, you were connecting this to Matt Rule. I think by your 3rd year, you'll probably want to have your culture and your own recruits in place in a way. I would say that number of incoming, outgoing transfers just kind of decides to dip a tad, but that's honestly not how Jeff has clearly seen things in these last year. He's like, even last year, lost 28 transfers, brought in 30. They have insane landmine potential, dynamite return players. Isaac Brown, Duke Watson, Chris Bell, really talented O-line, star-studded linebackers, star-studded defensive backs. D'Angelo Hutchinson is probably one of the better defensive backs in the ACC behind Terrell, like I was saying earlier. But those are pretty much the only proven returning players. Isn't his offensive coordinator? Yeah, the offensive coordinator is his brother, for God's sake. And they're going to have their 3rd quarterback in as many years. And then obviously it's going to be Miller Moss. And then they're going to bring in 4 new wideouts. And they're going to bring in 3 new tight ends. And they're going to bring in 7 new linemen. It's like, dude, like it's a cluster. It is a disgusting cluster. And it's funny because typically they field really good offenses and they're clearly used to handling change, but the carousel isn't just necessarily going to slow down. And then if you go on the other side of the ball with the defense, They, like I said, they've trended in the wrong direction far too long. So I don't want to say it's not too scary that 14 of the 19 guys are gone. That's crazy to say, but that's just how it is. Um, However, like I said, the linebackers look fantastic. The few pass disruptors that they have on the defensive back end aren't necessarily the worst in the world. But he did add, I think there's like one from a couple of group of fives. There's, I think there's one from a power four, if I'm not mistaken. No, there's not. I lied. No, there's not. They are all from group of five, but they all have really good numbers. So obviously, Brem's a portal guy. Pretty much means that your scouting department is having to hit the jackpot year in and year out. You can pretty much ask Norvell from Florida State the exact same thing. A freaking 2022 through 2023 portal genius, and then you hit 2024, and it's like, what the heck happened to this guy? So I like Moss's QBR, pretty much matched Tyler Shaw last year, pretty much the same, 74.4, 75 even for Shuck. And then the trio Brown, Watson, Bell, most explosive in the conference by far, in my opinion. They have probably the best running game, one of the better running rooms in all college football. And there's no reason that to think that obviously the defense is any less talented than it was last year. Similar to SMU, they play all three contenders: Clemson, Miami, SMU, and then they travel to Pitt, Virginia Tech, like you were saying already. It's we were talking about this at the very beginning when we started. It's a gauntlet of a schedule, and it's just, I don't think it's a surprise if they improve for a third straight year. It's just going to be very, 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 very hard, and it's one of the hardest seasons that they've had.
Yeah, the point spread should be around 2 touchdowns.
That's what we're okay. So we're pretty spot
on. Yeah, I agree kind of with everything that you're saying. I'm not a big fan of Miller Moss. I know he was like Tyler Shuck. They're going to have a good offense regardless of who's playing quarterback, but I don't love bringing in a guy who got benched regardless of what USC was doing. They're going to have a great running game for sure. If they could play any defense at all, they probably would have been in the playoff last year.
That's true.
I mean, I think back to that, was it the Clemson game last year? And they were down 7 the entire game, and they just keep going back and forth down the field. Like, no one's getting a stop. So I think they're gonna be roughly the same, especially with if you keep portaling guys all the time. It's hard to. You're not developing. You're just bringing in guys for 1 year.
Like I said, you're trying to hit the jackpot with like 1 or 2 guys, and it's just, you have to pray every year that one of them hopes to pan out better than they were prospected to be.
Which I think he's a better portaler than Norvell is.
Oh yeah, by far. Because
Norvell's portal class the year they went 13-0 was cool, but like Jordan Travis was already there, who was pretty much the reason they
built around the guys that they already had. They didn't necessarily add in. I mean, they have a completely different offense. That's like 11 plus guys. Like, you overran your starters pretty much.
Yeah, which we'll get to Florida State later, but
unfortunately.
Yeah, I have them 8-9 wins. I think it's another good year.
It's general.
I don't think you're going to beat anyone you're better than, but I don't think you're going to lose to anyone you're worse than. Kind of how Louisville's been for 7 years now.
It's a mediocre year. Yeah, it's nothing insane.
No.
Top 5 best ACC team, maybe. Yeah. I think, yeah, but it's just like, it's where they've been. That's nothing short of what their expectation is. I don't think their expectation should be to win the ACC, because it's just not going to happen as long as Clemson is doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then with Miami on the trend, it's just, I don't think there's much to do there.
Yeah.
I think we have SMU after Louisville. So go ahead and break down one of our favorite coaches in the ACC, Mr. Lashley.
Yeah, so I don't like the schedule either.
Shocker.
The ACC scheduling some hard games. I like
It's
it.
tough, dude.
I
We're
know.
going through this before the start, and it's just like, dang, like this is. I
Yeah,
think
and
it'll be a fun.
respect SMU for playing some Big 12 teams, trying to keep the Texas roots alive. Playing Baylor at home in week 2. You're at TCU in week 4, at
I love
Clemson
it.
at Clemson in week 8, Miami in week 10, and then the end of the year is at Boston College by Louisville. So
That end of the year is brutal, dude.
yeah, I like the bye before Louisville and then getting them at home.
It's a decent reset.
I
Yeah,
feel like that's probably a win if you're just kind of throwing home games in there. But like at TCU, at Clemson, I don't like either of those. Miami in week 10 at home, cool, but
yeah. There's not really much going on there.
Baylor in week 2, my boy Sawyer Robertson.
That was insanely funny. So long. Are we all to just take a break and just say that real quick? Was that yesterday or was that today?
It was yesterday.
So yesterday, I don't even. Did you just text me? You literally just text me the 2 words, Sawyer Robinson, and I was like, huh?
You sent me that Twitter thing of like dark horse Heisman candidates, and that Sawyer Robertson was on it. So I just texted you back, Sawyer
Was he
Robertson.
really?
Yeah.
I'm checking that. There was no way he was on that.
Yes, he was. That dude's good. Anyways, I'll break down SMU while he does that.
Go for it.
So Kevin Jennings, year 2, replacing Preston Stone after Preston Stone was really bad and then transferred to Northwestern. Exciting year. He's going first off season that he's going to get starting quarterback reps, which is good. I think that's really going to help them after he was actually really good last year, just struggled with turnovers. We are both big fans of Rhett Lashley. I love Rhett Lashley.
The guy.
He's so good. They were top 40 on both sides of the ball last year. I think they can absolutely do it again this year. I really like the portal additions at running back and wide receiver. However, they are replacing a ton of production. Brashard Smith, and then losing your tight end halfway through the year last year. They're gonna have a hard time replacing that talent. But you also have Kevin Jennings, who's going to be able to lift up that talent that you have in there now. I think the secondary is going to be really good. Their schedule is a lot tougher this year, like we said. They were 11-1 last year and didn't lose a regular season conference game. Did lose to Clemson in the ACC. So I do think they are going to have a bit of a dip. I see this team being more of like 9-3. But there's the opportunity to still be a dark horse playoff team if Kevin Jennings is as good as Kevin Jennings was last year. So they're just going to have to answer some questions about running the ball and the inexperience they're going to have in the front seven.
Yeah, I don't hate this team. I mean, it is a decently tricky schedule, definitely. But after what they've done the last 2 years, I think it's kind of dumb to doubt them in a way. But I think they've definitely got their work cut out for them this year. I agree.
Yeah.
I was looking, and yes, Sawyer Robinson was in that list. So you do win that one.
Yeah, he was.
But basically, I was just like, who is this guy? I'm not going to lie. I didn't even know who the dude was, and that's kind of an L on my part. But then sure enough, like 2 hours later, I get his highlight mixtape on my TikTok For You page. Like not even 3 hours it was like a day later. I sent it.
Pump up like, Sawyer Robertson. Let's go.
Jake's in my algorithm right now. I don't really know how to feel about it. So it's kind of weird.
Just wait till I get to Baylor.
Next week's gonna be fun. I'm excited. You have SEC and Big 12 previews, so yeah, that'll be a good one. Who do we have next? Oh, this is beautiful. I lied. This one might be our favorite.
This is probably my favorite feature. Yeah,
people are gonna hate us. People are gonna hate us.
Probably. The Yellow Jackets, Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Start with the schedule. We're at Colorado in week 1, Clemson in week 3, Virginia Tech in week 7, at Duke, Syracuse, at NC State, get a bye, at Boston College, Pittsburgh at home, and your Georgia neutral site rivalry game.
Wonderful. Oh, man. This team, dude. This team. I'm so excited. I can't believe I'm so excited. Um, 18th in returning production. Uh, they have Haynes squared. Tons of injuries last year. Especially they have key guys that pretty much should even out this year, essentially. Um, I love. I know you mentioned it in the schedule already, but I love the fact of them getting Clemson that early in the year at home to get the game out of the way as soon as possible. And even if they do manage to drop that game or give them a scare, that's a decently good test. But avoiding those key other three teams that we've already talked about, I don't really think there's back to back road games all season long.
Nope.
Which is just a very good draw at that point. Um, in terms of SP Plus and among other things, they're projected at 44th SP Plus in mine. They're projected at 6 wins, 6.5. I know we took their win total at 7.5. I think is what it is. Decent amount of juice. I have it at like minus 140, something like that, around that ballpark. But if you were watching them last year, they were probably doing something insane, incredible.
Electric.
I mean, they played 3 top 10 teams, and Brent Key had these guys looking like a top 10 team against every single one of them.
They should have beat all 3.
They realistically should have, yes. Obviously, Florida State, I don't necessarily, if you want to call it that, but at the start of the year in Dublin, which was insane, we thought at the time it was an upset, which whatever. But then they go on to beat Miami, and then they fall short of Georgia, which that game kind of pissed me off in the biggest way possible. But yeah, that was like after how many overtimes?
8.
Was it really 8?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god!
Please change the overtime rules. It was on a Friday too. What are we doing?
Oh, it was on a Friday. I remember that. Yeah. I mean, outside of those, they went 5-5. They lost Syracuse. They lost at Louisville. And then obviously Haynes injured his shoulder, and then they got lucky before Notre Dame. I kind of wanted Notre Dame to play them when they were 100% because that would have been such a fun game, I think. But and then they did lose the bowl game, I think, to Vandy as well.
Yep.
Overall, they weren't necessarily really different than they were in his first year. In my opinion, they did have the same record, same at pretty much 1 to 3 SP plus rankings apart. Top 50 offense, top 90 defense. Special teams did get statistically worse. Still making these like fun games that randomly in the middle of the fall that just somehow pay off. I think he capitalized on these big moments though. He signed a top 20 recruiting class. They held on to major key guys. Outside of Haynes, they have an offensive line with an all-conference guard, a defensive tackle, and then they added an Ivy League running back who was all-conference. And then FIU's 2 best players by far, Eric Rivers, Dean Patterson, they combined for 1,800 yards last year and almost 20 touchdowns. That's just the offense. On the defensive side, edge rusher from UTSA, defensive tackle from UCF and Ole Miss, cornerbacks from UAB and Eastern Michigan, and then 3 DBs from Georgia State, Eastern Michigan, and Tennessee Tech. The defensive transfers were obviously necessary. I think 7 of the 19 guys, with majority of the snaps, returned for Gideon. I don't think Georgia Tech has had a top 50 defense per SP plus at least since 2017 from what I was reading. And then obviously, and since they've allowed at least 31 points and 5 of 6 losses, I think it's clear that the defense pretty much held them back last year as well. It's kind of a given. But injuries did too, and I'm not going to make excuses like it was, but 19 of the 19 defenders, obviously, they started at least one game. And obviously, Haynes King was very limited and among other games, but he flat out missed 2 games completely. And then he's just a very physical runner, physical player. But he's always going to be an injury risk, so you got to be careful with him. But it's just when you have both of them in the backfield, they're going to have a chance to pretty much beat every single team that they play. And I don't think there's going to be marquee win opportunities, really, as they only play 2 of the projected top 40 teams this year, and that's Clemson and Georgia, obviously. But at the end of the day, that results in more wins. At least it should. And then, in my opinion, I think it's I'm not going to say it's a possibility. They're going to go 1-1 between Clemson and Georgia this year.
Okay.
It's 1-1, and if dude, it's I don't know, because the way we were talking about it that one day, there's a chance that they go 2-0 because they do really get both. Not on the road. It's a neutral site, but obviously Clemson is at home. But yeah, 1-1 by far. I think so. I don't think that's a reach at all. I think that's probably the biggest. It's not a hot take. I don't know. I don't know what else to say there.
Yeah,
that might be a clip that we post later on. I'm not gonna lie, but it's okay.
You know what? I'm all in. They're going 2-0. I really like this team. I know statistically there isn't a ton, like you said. I mean, 66th and SP plus. Statistically, they're not the greatest team on paper, but I feel like Key as a coach just gets these guys up for these big games. So when you're looking at the Clemson game, when you're looking at the Georgia game, like those are games where Georgia Tech is going to be underdogs by 10 points probably, even at home, even on a neutral site.
Easily.
But they covered last year and won 2 out of the 3 outright. So I think Key just gets these. Key's just such a good motivator. Obviously, super bad injuries last year. That has to get better, whether that's through strength conditioning or whether it's just luck. Lost Eric Singleton, but replacing him with Eric Rivers is just as good, I think. Same production. I think you can get the same things out of it. It's really just going to come down to the defense. Gave up way too many big plays, way too many third down conversions. They have to be better on defense. And if they can be better on defense, this team can go 10-2. Now that I've said that they're going to win both those games, I guess technically I have them 11-1. So
11-1.
We'll see. I mean, if they go 2-0, 11-1 is super possible. But
I'm not necessarily counting it out.
Yeah, we'll stick to 9-3, 10-2 just for now. But if they can go at Colorado and beat them, I think this team's legit.
In terms of like a projection for like spreads and stuff like that, from what I was like looking into, if they were playing on a neutral site game, this game is literally projected at -3 for me on one of my models.
For what? Oh, Georgia Tech?
Georgia Tech, yes. And then if you make that Clemson
and make it at home,
home,
+1.
Clemson's -2.5.
-2.5. Yeah. Field goal game,
dude. I'm just.
We'll see. I hope the books are higher.
I really do, because I mean I'm looking to take Georgia Tech in both of those games.
All right, Duke is the next team up. Looking at their schedule first, they got Illinois in week 2. Then they go at Tulane, NC State, at Syracuse, bye in week 7. Then Georgia Tech, bye at Clemson, at UNC in week 13. Interesting at Tulane game after Darian Mensah transfers there. It's a funny little quirk. I know they probably did that a couple years ago, but I think that's funny. I like how the schedule sets up here. You get a bye before Georgia Tech. You get a bye before you travel to Clemson. I don't love the at Tulane with travel, then you start ACC play, but you avoid SMU, you avoid Miami, you avoid Louisville. I like all of that. I'm a big fan of what Manny Diaz does. Dude is a monster on defense. I love that he got another opportunity to coach somewhere. I am interested in Mensah. He was great at Tulane, but now he's playing ACC defenses. It's a little different. They were 6-1 in one-score games last year, which normally regresses back to the mean eventually. They were not able to run the ball much either last year, which I don't like, but they did attempt to beef up their O-line. So they're going to attempt to run the ball. I think 8-4 9-3 is really possible here. I think the schedule sets up super well, especially if Mensa is more consistent than Malik Murphy was last year. And the defense, I just don't really have to worry about. They're going to be really, really good, and they're going to be good situationally.
It's good old Manny Diaz football right there, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have them at 41 and an SP plus ranking. Average. This projection is a little iffy. See, I haven't projected at 7, but realistically, 8-4, 9-3. That's not. I don't think it's a reach at all. And then they have 4 projected wins in terms of conference play, and it's just I can't see that being a possibility. Elko obviously resurrected pretty much this program. Won 17 games in 2022 through 2023, and then when he left for A&M, Diaz pretty much inherited an offense in need of a new quarterback and obviously an overhaul on the line. So yeah, I mean, like you said, the defense has been even good under Elko, like in the past.
Oh yeah, that's what Elko does too.
It's like they have such similar coaching styles, but then it's like when you compare like 2022 through 2024 in terms of Elko year and Diaz year, if you go like 2023 and 2024, it's just like Elko went 8-5. He was 30th in SP plus, top 60 offense, top 30 defense, and then in 2024 with Diaz, 9-4, 44th in SP plus, top 70 offense, 31st in defense. So roughly, similar, very similar teams.
And then when you switch, I mean, you got Malik Murphy instead of Riley Leonard,
which is an absurd jump. Which, granted, Leonard was also not even healthy at the end of 2023 as well.
Yeah, but he also got Leonard in 2022.
He did.
That was Leonard's breakout.
That's true. Which I do have that ranking pulled up here as well. They were 55th in SP plus, also at 9-4. But yeah, it's when you look at last year's Diaz team, the run game was a disaster, and they were 6-1 in one-score games, which what probably should have been more like a 7-win season, in my opinion. But somehow, some way, they managed to hold it down. I do think the offensive line got a lot stronger. And then of the 17 guys on defense, 17 guys with at least 200 to 300 snaps. 9 of them return. 4 of 6 of those guys are linemen. 4 of 6 linemen. 4 of 6 DBs. Sorry, I'm all over the place today. Diaz added probably one of the better safeties in all of Group of 5. Guy from Sam Houston. Some exciting receivers. One of them from Oklahoma, Andrew Anthony, and then a guy from Harvard. And then obviously Darian Mensah, QB. I don't have really much to say about him. There's a redshirt freshman season. I mean, there's not really much you're going to be able to really do or really break down there. I don't want to necessarily judge anything, so I was kind of let him play this year and then kind of see where he's at, kind of thing. I don't really want to go too deep into that. In terms of his arsenal, though, the position or the skill position group is a little bit of a question mark, as 5 of last year's top 7 pass catchers are gone. Let me see here. And then when you have Anthony and Barkate and then Castle, all of those guys, they're going to have to make an immediate impact on the running game. It's just, the line, like I said, the line does look sturdy, though. It's definitely a good starting point. But it's, again, in terms on the other side of the ball in the defense, it's hard to worry about a Diaz coach defense, really. Regardless, I think the linebackers are going to be easier to replace than your linemen or your defensive backs. So Duke has experience where it counts the most, obviously, but I just don't think Mensa will have enough help to make Duke an ACC dark horse. But then again, it's a possibility. The defense should obviously give them a high floor alone. So I'll pretty much ride the wave on that.
Yeah, I like getting your toughest. I mean, I know they have Illinois in week 2, but I like the toughest. I like the Georgia Tech by at Clemson thing. It's so late in the year too. You're giving Mensa, these pass catchers, these running backs, a chance to
It's a
gel at
good draw.
least.
Yeah.
That I do like that. So
I think they had a
yeah,
line up for that Illinois game, 3.5 in Illinois. So that's pretty short. That's a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be.
yeah, kind of interesting.
Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's a little low for me. Maybe I would love to back Duke, but that might be an Illinois play there. 3.5. Florida State is next. So obviously they open with Alabama week 1. They're at home against Miami in week 6, then Pitt, then at Clemson in week 11. Then they finish the year Virginia Tech at NC State at Florida. I just it's really hard to judge this team. Once again, Norvell is portaling, which I mean you have to. You were 2-10 last year. You have to portal again. I just have a hard time seeing him being the guy. I know we're 2 years removed from an undefeated season, but last year doesn't happen if you're the guy. I feel like they can't recruit. They're at Florida State and you can't recruit Florida kids. I find that to be such a problem when Florida's recruiting Florida kids, Miami's recruiting Florida kids. All the SEC schools are recruiting Florida kids. Just don't. It's hard for me to like you when you can't even recruit your own state. I do think they'll be better this year. Don't love Castellanos. He's very much a me guy, not a we guy. You could kind of tell with that in Boston College last year.
Really? Really?
And the least biggest fan of Gus Malzahn. What are we doing?
I forgot about that. I'm not...
UCF was terrible last year. They've been terrible every year
I
with
completely
Gus.
forgot about that. Holy crap.
I don't know if that's who we're getting to fix the offense. They're probably going to be in some trouble soon. They've got to figure out a pass rush. They had the best defensive line in the country last year before the season started and then completely flopped. I think the running back room is good. Somebody's got to prove themselves in the wide receiver room. I know they portaled some guys in. They're going to have immediate impacts. I think they portaled well at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. But that 4-week stretch at the end of the year, I think, is going to determine what this season could be or what it won't be.
I agree. I don't want to say it's a gauntlet, but it's just another one of those trickier ACC schedules. I haven't projected 36 SP plus, 7 projected wins, 4.5 in the conference. That's a little disrespectful, but it's kind of feel like they've earned that in a way. For all the obvious reasons, I kind of was scared a little bit of a hangover for them last year. The heartbreak pretty much of that playoff game combined with losing Travis, and then most of your position players and not only 7 draft picks, they were massive regression candidates, and everybody knows that. But were we thinking 2-10 type stuff? I guess I don't know. If you told me that regression is going to happen. I mean, when you think of regression off of almost nearly undefeated season, you're thinking what? 8 wins, 7,
8.
It's just the transfer class produced 0 standouts, and then the QB situation was just god awful. I don't understand how that you managed to fall from 9th to 58th in defensive SP plus, and then from 23rd to 114th SP plus on offense. It's like, you want to know what this reminds me of?
Mm.
Bobby Petrino level at Louisville, like type fall off.
Yeah. Man, it was bad. It's probably the worst.
Terrible. It was god awful.
Yeah.
And then they all of a sudden you bring in Gus Malzahn and you're like, yeah, this is our Lord and Savior. You know, like this is. I mean, like you're gonna be starting almost nothing but transfers.
They've done it 4 years in a row.
That's probably true. Yeah, it's true. Sawchuk at the back slot from Oklahoma. Squirrel White from Tennessee's very own. Deuce Robinson, USC. Gavin Blackwell, North Carolina.
I do like Deuce.
And him and Blackwell together, that would be kind of fun. 6 new offensive linemen. That's okay. There's 3 of those guys. 3 of those 6 are automatically the most proven linemen with the most amount of experience on the team. And then Castellanos is obviously one of the most underwhelming additions that we've ever seen. On defense, Tony White, another new coordinator there. A unit with obviously few incumbents, if that. They have tackles like Darrell Jackson, Daniel Lyons, a couple good linebackers in Nicholson and Graham Jr. I do like their secondary a little bit better with Quindarius Jones. He's very solid. They do have a couple transfers, a couple from Group of Fives. They did get Jason Jenkins also from Tennessee, though. James Williams from Nebraska as well.
And Elijah Herring is also originally from Tennessee.
That's also true. I remember we was talking about this too. But I think they need to immediately kind of fire off on all cylinders on the pass rush, and basically tackle depth appears to be just non-existent, I guess, in a way. So there's enough guys to basically assume that the defense will bounce back in a way, but the collapse was just so big and so bad that I would assume that everywhere improves.
And they're going to win more than 2 games.
Yeah. So it's just imagine of like how good can they rebound? You know what I mean? It's how many games? Yeah, like you were going to say the same thing.
How many games does he have to win to not get fired?
Yeah,
but seriously, how many games does he have to win to not get fired? Bowl game? I think he needs to win 8.
If I have him projected at 6.8 and 4.5 in the conference, it ain't looking too good, brother.
You have to go above expectation. Like, there's no way you can go 6-6, be below expectation again. I get the buyout's big, but it's Florida State.
What is the expectation with this kind of?
I guess that's a good. I guess that's a good question for. Florida
after
State
2-10. Yeah,
I mean the expectation is improvement, but isn't it the expectation every year for Florida State to compete for a national title?
It's never 500. Yeah, I was going to say it's not 500. Breaking 500, if that.
Like, I'm sure some of them are realistic in knowing that this is probably a 7-5 team, but.
I'm not going to let that.
That's not okay. That's not okay.
I mean, in all honesty, do they scare Alabama?
No.
Just no. I don't care how loud that place is going to be on week 1. They're going to be emptying the stands probably in the middle of the 3rd quarter, though.
I don't even know.
I
don't even know if Alabama would have to throw the ball to beat them.
Quite frankly, I don't think so either. I really don't.
I think they're competing with the middle of the pack ACC teams, and I think they'll probably beat a couple, but I don't see, I'm sure the Clemson Florida State game will be on national TV, and it's not worth watching, in my opinion, this year.
No, it's not going to be, it shouldn't be close.
Yeah, so I think that's where we're at with Florida State. I think obviously
Bama's
we don't know, but
Bama's already what, a 2 touchdown favorite?
12 and a half, I think. It might have gone up, I don't know. Or down.
It's I mean close enough, but yeah,
But
I
so
mean
if you
personally I probably would take Bama.
but if you mean the two seasons that they've had the past 2 years together, 13-1 and 2-10, you get what, 15-11?
Yeah.
So I expect us to get to the mean this year. Let's go 7-5.
I mean now he's 33-27 overall.
Yeah.
In 6 years. That's
He's been there. No, he's been there. No, he's been there 4, right? Holy shit, he's been there 6.
6 years, yeah.
Oh my god.
That's why I'm so concerned. I feel like it's why I'm thinking that he's got a shot at getting the boot, brother.
It's the buyout money with that contract.
I get
Yeah,
it, but I mean,
agree.
you said the same thing. I mean, it's Florida State, though. I mean, they've definitely got it. If they're signing all these kind of transfers every freaking year and making them just start year one,
at some point, recruit your state,
or that, better yet, compete with FIU or UCF for once in your life. I mean, they're losing. They're losing guys to Florida International. I forget there was
Alex
one.
Golish is probably out recruiting him right now at USF.
I wouldn't surprise me. It seriously wouldn't surprise me.
What are they right now? They're 15th. Hey, 11 4-stars this year, baby.
Yeah, not too shabby.
What'd they finish last year?
Eesh, I don't know.
19th.
19th. Oh God. Who do we got?
I mean, it hasn't fallen off a cliff, but like Florida State should be top 10. You're in Florida.
Right. After all, you are one of the most talented.
South Carolina should not be out recruiting you in rankings.
Beamer should.
No offense to Beamer.
It's okay. Yeah. It's all right.
Anyways, I'm moving on. North Carolina. Hey, we get to.
Oh my God!
Go back to another team we have.
This
no
portion
idea
of ACC is just sucks.
Oh, we can't hate Bill Belichick. I mean, you can actually,
but I can.
He's a great coach. Anyways,
fantastic coach. I love the guy.
Schedule for UNC: you get TCU week 1 at home. You're at UCF in week 4. Then you have a bye, Clemson bye, at Syracuse week 10 on a Friday. Duke in week 13 at NC State. So they avoid Miami, SMU, Louisville, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech. They avoid Florida State too, and avoid Florida State. So for a year one, for a coach we have no idea about, what a schedule these guys gave him. Props to the ACC for absolutely just being like, he has to go over 500 this year. Not allowed. It's crazy.
I wish I had a breakdown for this team, dude.
I've got a little bit. I really like Gio Lopez. I'm sure not a lot of people watched him at South Alabama unless you're just real into it, but that dude is so fun. He is really good with his legs. He's got to improve as a passer still, but he's electric with his legs. Obviously, they lost a ton on offense. Marion Hampton going in the first round. Lost some dudes to the portal with Bill Belichick coming in, Mac Brown getting fired. But the culture seems to be in a good place after an offseason that was filled with some weird stuff going on. I'm not going to get into all that, but there were just some things floating on the internet. But Belichick, usually when you think of Belichick, you think defense. Only 3 of their top 16 players with 200 snaps return. I don't know how fast he's able to turn the defense around just with scheme. But like I said earlier, their schedule is really easy. I think they could get 7. I think they could get more than 7. I definitely think they're making a bowl game.
Yeah. Bowl game year 1 is going to have Chapel Hill on its feet, dude.
Especially with the NIL that's come in, with Belichick being the coach now, and just how well coached they'll be with Bill Belichick. I mean, if you get 7 or 8 wins this year, it's a leapfrog year.
Dude, imagine telling someone like in 2018 or 2016 about this hire and everybody else that joined him on the staff.
Both his sons.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's got a great staff. They shelled out money. Like, props to UNC. I don't know. I mean, he's 70 years old. Like, he's not going to be there very long. But
it's one of the better like NFL ready staffs that I've probably ever even seen.
yeah, props to them for giving him the money and giving them the money. And even with NIL,
It's impressive. Yeah.
The problem is, and I know a lot of other people have talked about it, it's just like, cool, you get Bill Belichick, you get this staff. Is he there 5 years? Is he there 2? Is he, like, how long is he there? Because I assume he wants to go back to the NFL. He doesn't want to deal with 18-year-olds. He already has to deal with one.
Right.
Okay, there's my joke. I'm
right
now.
Yeah.
So
yes.
all right. Yes. So I think they're going to a bowl game. I think they'll be good. I hope he stays because I think it's good for college football.
I don't hate it. It's you have 2 Belichicks on the staff with
I thought the third one was there too. Is it just 2?
well, technically there's 3 if you're counting Bill. I meant like 2 joining him.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
But yeah, is Steve I think is on defense.
Yeah.
And then Brian is also on defense, except he's a DB's coach. Is that correct? I think is what it is.
I think so.
Not to mention he's got 2 Lombardis. Michael Lombardi is a freaking GM. You have a QB's coach. Matt Lombardi is the QB's coach. And then he's got like 3-4 more other NFL assistants, I think is what it is. I'm not sure. I don't know off the top of my head.
Freddie Kitchens is the offensive coordinator.
Great hire.
Sure.
Freddie Kitchens, ex-Gio Lopez, dude. Let's get into it. I don't know. It's just, I have no idea how to set expectations for this team, honestly.
Yeah, I think just bowl game.
I do like the roster more now than I did initially in the spring when I was kind of initially looking into this team. Crazy stat for Gio Lopez is that this dude has 550 pre-sack rushing yards, meaning that in the pocket, like running around. 500.
I wouldn't really want to know what his actual rushing total is, because it's probably negative. Because of how bad South Alabama's offensive line was last year.
But the fact that they had to put 550 pre-sack rushing yards is so funny to me. But I will say they did help Gio a ton. They added a ton of 8. I think they added 8 guys total to the offensive line alone.
Actually, I lied. Their offensive line was really good last year. I'm sorry. I was thinking of a different team.
I thought they were
14. He only took 14 sacks last year.
Okay.
I think he's just a demon in the pocket.
Okay. Let me see here. I mean, all conference tackle from group of 5s. 320 pounds average between both of those 2 guys on the tackle side. I don't think any of the skill position group guys are proven, though. Obviously, you have the new running back. Is it Davian Gauze? Is that how you pronounce it? I think is who it is. It was Omarion's backup. And then they do have a returning receiver who was the leading receiver from last year. Yet he only had 300 yards. So the defense is pretty much starting over. 16 defenders saw at least 200 snaps. 3 of those guys returned. All of them are defensive backs. So good times in Chapel Hill. I mean, under Mac Brown, the defense usually pretty much drug the offense down in a way. And then they allowed at least 34 points and 5 of 7 losses last year, which is just insane. However, Bill Belichick historically and statistically have fantastic defenses. So I think it might take them a little bit to grow on sound with that side of the ball. But I think overall, in terms of a leadership standpoint, in terms of maturity, in terms of next level football, it's not a necessarily bad place to be. Like I would choose Chapel Hill if I'm like a high school recruit. I would probably choose Chapel Hill over majority of these bottom tier ACC schools at that point. If it's an offer, you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
that's kind of where I don't. Like I said, I don't have any expectation because it's so hard to grasp my fingers around that. I'm going to see Bill Belichick on ACC Network on a random 3:30 Saturday this year. It's just going to blow my mind. Like I still can't. I can't get that around my head. That's nuts. But yeah, that's all I have for UNC. So I don't. If you have anything to add, maybe. But there's like I said, there's really just not much to it. So who do we got next?
The Hokies.
Oh, Enter Sandman people, my favorite. I have them on one of my teams that could make a run because we were so wrong on them. Was it last
Remember
year?
how high we were last year?
Was it last year? Oh my
Yeah.
god, I'm embarrassed by even saying that, but honestly, I'll own it. I'll put my hand up with it, so it's okay.
Totally didn't bet them to win the ACC.
Totally was not all in on Kyron Jones to win a Heisman. It's okay.
Yeah, no. Their schedule: South Carolina neutral site in week 1, Vandy the next week, at NC State week 5, at Georgia Tech in week 7, Louisville in week 10. Then you get a bye at FSU, Miami, and then you finish the year with a rivalry game against Virginia. This is a big year for Brent Pry. Big year.
Huge. Yeah.
You gotta have a bounce back year this year, especially with all the hype there was last year, and then you kind of fall flat on your face. Which there were injuries, somewhat like Georgia Tech. For some reason, this team hates playing out of conference games. They just like to lose them. Like this last year was the second year in a row where they started the year like 1-3 or 2-4, and then fight their way back and make a bowl game.
They had a fantastic finish last year.
Oh yeah,
insanely promising.
Yeah, they've got to be And speaking of drones, he's got to be more consistent through the air, and he's got to stay healthy. Like if that means running the ball less, that means running the ball less because he literally is their team on offense this year. They replaced both coordinators. All their weapons are gone. The defense has been gutted. So, big portal team. That's a very big thing you're going to see in the ACC. They really like to portal. If they can just open up the season 500 or better, they have a chance to be pretty good. I've got them down for 7-5, which I think it's about right.
I have them projected 6.6. I would round that up to 7, but yeah, 46 projection. 46th in SP Plus as a projection. Only 4 projected wins in the ACC, which I think is somewhat on par, I guess, given the schedule. In 2023, they were down to 80th in SP Plus before the offense caught an insanely I don't even know. I think that finish to 2023 gave us hope for that 2024 season, which was why we were so on high. We're so high with them.
Drones was awesome.
They were 5-2 in the last 7 games. I mean, yeah. And then they nearly beat talking in next year in 2024. They almost beat Miami. They won 3 straight ACC games by a combined of 60 points before the injuries of Drones and Tootin. But yeah, I mean, they spent about half of the last 2 seasons basically showing a top 20 form of offense and defense in a way. But then they go a combined 13-13. And then they had an insane turnover rate. I just don't like the roster in a way, only because it's going to look very different than last year. I don't know. It's hard to see what the offense is going to be with the new running backs that they added that aren't even necessarily big. I don't want to call them big names because they're not going to. I'm not. It's not expected to get big names, but
You don't have
they got a
Terry
guy.
and Stewart.
Yeah, they got a guy from Bowling Green, which is like so. That's about the biggest name you're going to get. They combined, on the other hand, just number wise, they were really good. Combined between the three new ones that they have, 2,700 yards and 35 touchdowns. And then
Yeah.
Stewart is uh, apparently one of the best yards after contact backs in the country, which is on par with Virginia Tech's scheme because they like to ground and pound a lot, clearly. And then, yeah, apparently Jones thinks he can do the same. They did get a really good receiver from Wake Forest. That's Donovan Green, which landmine potential from that guy. I think when he's healthy as well. You can say the same thing about pretty much everybody on this team, though. It's okay. They did get a former top 200 recruit from Tennessee.
Cam Sutton, baby.
Yeah, the decent yardage guy in the slot, maybe. I think
Could be. He didn't play for Tennessee, but
that's
he was.
yeah.
He had a ton of potential out of high school. So,
they did get one of four transfers, as a standout from West Virginia as well on the O line, I should say. Did they get a new coordinator?
yeah, both sides.
Yes.
Yeah, both sides of the ball.
They did manage to land one of the better edge rushers in the group of five, which is from Texas State, and he goes by the name of Ben Bell.
That dude's good.
He did miss, I think, was it all of last year, if not like majority of games last year, I think. But in terms of 2023 numbers, very good guy. I looked into him a lot. They did get 5 other new defensive linemen, and then at least 5 tackles. I'm sorry. 5 other new linemen made at least 5 tackles for losses last year. In terms of secondary play, you have safeties from New Mexico and Sam Houston and Rice. They combined for 5 interceptions total, 15 breakups. And then on the outside behind the numbers, you have guys from East Carolina and Hawaii and Wingate.
They play football at Wingate?
I thought Wingate was my local HVAC company.
What you don't remember Wingate in the NCAA tournament? Like
No.
4 years ago?
No.
5 years ago, maybe?
I don't.
Small school.
Those guys combined for 5 interceptions and 24 breakups. Solid numbers from the secondary. I'll give them that. But like I said, like you were saying, they did add new coordinators on both sides. I don't know who they are. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't quite get that part. I didn't know if they did or not.
I know the offensive coordinator. I don't know the defensive coordinator.
I can look.
Philip Montgomery's the offensive coordinator. He was Tulsa's head coach for a while.
Oh, old Arizona Cardinals linebackers coach Sam something. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Cephas?
I don't know.
Yeah,
apparently he's the younger guy.
They're just so unknown.
Yeah, it's like, I have questions for pretty much all of the rest of these teams because I don't really know what to set the expectation at. But with how close Brent Pry has pretty much been to success with this team, I don't think it's optimal to pretty much deal with this much change all at once. But the roster, it might have more upside than any of them that he's had. There's a chance. So I don't hate the team. I just don't necessarily definitely don't like the schedule. That's for sure. But it's another one of those ACC 6-6 struggles, I guess. So
yeah,
we'll zoom through these last couple. And then we have NC State. You can go ahead and get that one.
Yeah, so we got NC State schedule at Duke in week 4, Virginia Tech at Notre Dame in week 7, then a bye at Pitt, Georgia Tech, bye at Miami, Florida State, UNC. They were atrocious on defense.
Kind of rare, not gonna lie. They usually have been pretty
awful. Oh, Tony Gibson's usually awesome. They're usually super aggressive. They fly around the ball, get a lot of turnovers, and it just didn't happen last year. So Gibson is out. He's gone. He's moved on. They're replacing a ton of production on the defensive side. But I do like the potential of the offense this year. I really enjoyed watching CJ Bailey play after what was his name from Coastal, the QB?
Grayson.
Oh yeah, Grayson McCall. Yeah. CJ Bailey coming in after Grayson unfortunately retired. I thought he showed a lot of promise throughout the end of the year. I really like Smothers, their running back. That dude runs kind of like Isaiah Pacheco. Honestly, he's kind of scares me when he runs.
You got to build like Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah, and then the weapons are unproven, but what team have we said where they're not unproven in the past like 6 teams? So someone's got to work out. It could be this team. It could not be this team. I think if they could figure out anything on the defensive side of the ball, this team could be decently good. However, the schedule is kind of tough. I like that Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, Florida State, and North Carolina are all at home. I think that's helpful. So I think they get to a bowl. I think 6-6 is probably the most likely here, but there's a 7-5.
I see him in the same boat as Virginia Tech, really, honestly. I have him. I mean, he's in his 13th year here, man, and
Baby.
He's done really good, though. I mean, 87 and 65 overall.
Yeah,
At like one of the lower ACC schools, I think is far impressive. In my opinion, at least.
Yeah. Tennessee tried to hire him.
They did. That's true. I have him projected 42nd in SP Plus here, roughly 6.5 projected wins, 4 in the ACC once again. What I said about this team last year, I wasn't necessarily high on them, but I had a couple of concerns, couple of questions, and I basically was just going over their defense because they needed new pass disruptors. They needed a new secondary. They needed multiple guys on the secondary to pretty much step up, or they needed to reload. They did not do that, clearly. Gibson produced 3 straight top 30 defenses in the country, and then he had to replace 6 starters, and then obviously needed transfers to fill in the other gaps that weren't able to be filled in terms of the recruitment process. Of 8 of those transfers, only 2 of those guys even made a difference. I don't even want to call it a difference. They made an impact that they with whatever they could. And obviously, his track record, I don't think it didn't prevent them from falling as hard as they did in the SP Plus rankings, because they were ranked in the preseason poll last year, but with even some decently overachieving type players on the offensive side of the ball, they're still projected within top 60, but they ended 48th, and then they ended up posting their first losing record in 5 seasons. So I think it's time for like a second stop in a way, or another stop on the carousel for this team specifically. I think Gibson, he went to Marshall, did he not?
Mm-hmm.
Really good hire by Marshall. I like Tony Gibson a lot. I've never really hated the guy. He's a phenomenal coach. But 16 of the 200 plus snaps last year, 6 of those guys returned. Couple of decent linebackers, couple of good tackles. It's a good start. And then I think is DJ Elliott, new coordinator. Yes. And then they didn't really land many transfers last year, though, is the only issue. So we kind of had to go out and get more. From what I'm seeing, I think they got Utah State guy, they got a Wyoming guy, which apparently those were all conference Mountain West players, which were supposedly ranked in the top of that conference last year. And then North Texas and Temple, which were the Americans' most active defensive backs in the country. But yeah, I guess it's a lot of change in such a short period of time where it kind of scares me. And then I did some numbers searching on DJ Elliott, and the last time that he coordinated and coached a top 50 defense alone was 2015.
Awesome.
So this is going to be a interesting season to look out for. However, I think there's some decent reason for optimism on the offensive side. Like you were talking about CJ Bailey, I think he was really decent as a true freshman in a way. But um his QBR pretty much was up in the same area as Raiola and Lagway, shockingly enough. But then again, you hear QBR and then you put him next to names like that, and he's like, oh my God, he's actually really good. It's just like, it doesn't really mean that much. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah,
a matter
QBR
of,
is not a great stat.
it's just a matter of completions versus deflections in terms of mixing that in with how many of those incomplete passes are actually turnovers in a way. I think in terms of numbers that he did put up last year, had a great game against Stanford.
Woo, who didn't?
Supposedly he's good on his feet, which is
Yes.
a good sign. So they gave Georgia Tech a scare. They beat UNC in a big rivalry win. I remember that game last year was massive. The fight at midfield was hilarious too. But I think it was encouraging enough to pretty much promote their QB's coach in a way. Which Roper, I believe, which is that QB's coach, he's now the offensive coordinator, which I believe. I don't necessarily think that they are depleted because they do have a decently solid running back room, but they're going to have to overcome some challenges. Because if development and a new play caller result in fewer negative plays, they were 119th in turnovers last year and 116th in stuff rate and 74th in sack rate. That's rough. And like we've pretty much been talking about this entire episode, anybody, I believe, can improve from those kind of numbers. You know what I mean? It's just, it could be their best offense since 2021. You don't know. I mean, like that could be enough to give them a decently solid season if the defense doesn't fall off harder than it did last year. That's the question.
Agreed.
So, I don't necessarily think they're going to make a run, but yeah, another team that's going to be fighting for bowl eligibility and then improvement from then on is probably the goal for the season. But nothing crazy expectation-wise.
Yeah. Do you want to do Cal?
No.
Okay, cool. That was at 150-15, by the way. That's why I did that. Because I didn't want to do Cal either, personally.
We can keep that one. I'm just kidding.
Oh, damn. That looks worse for you than me. Do you want to do Cal? No.
So quick.
Yeah, you didn't even hesitate. Like, good God. All right, so Boston College.
You want to go at 151?
Sure. All right, Boston College is the next team up. Their schedule at Michigan State week 2. Then you have an early bye in week 4. Cal at home, at Pittsburgh, Clemson, at Louisville in week 9, Notre Dame, SMU, Georgia Tech, bye at Syracuse. That 4-week stretch, holy. Louisville, Notre Dame, SMU, Georgia Tech. 3 of them are at home, which is nice, but
that hurts. Sorry.
Yeah, this is an interesting team. I really like Bill O'Brien. I think he's a really good coach. I personally don't think losing Thomas Castellanos is that bad. I mean, he got benched last year. Obviously, they probably made him move on, to be honest.
I don't think. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think that was necessarily a loss. They kind of gave him, said, "All right."
Yeah, and it seems like the guy that Grayson James is probably was going to be the starter this year. Replaced Castellanos last year, anyways. So looks like we're going to get a year of another quarterback in an off season. But there is a battle going on there. Both quarterbacks look to be about the same, decent mobility, and
There is.
Bill O'Brien's just a great offensive coach. So not super worried about the quarterback room. Really, what worries me is this defense. Loses a ton up front. It's good in the back end, but you're going to face some teams that are going to want to run the ball. I think the defensive coordinator is a good coach, and I honestly think they're going to be in a lot of close games this year, just with how they're going to play football. I think I might be slightly higher than them on projection based on, or I might be slightly higher than them on them than what the projections will have. I have them 6-6. I think they're in a bowl game this year.
I was going to say, yeah, the 500 is the best that I'm going to have to put them at. If we're talking 4, I mean 3-9, 4-5, or
I mean, yeah, that schedule is brutal.
4-8.
I mean, Michigan State though. That's probably.
I don't know, man. 62, and in terms of SP Plus projection ranking, I project them at 5 wins, but I do like them at 6. Honestly, they're projected 2.9 in the ACC. But O'Brien's first year was basically like 3 chapters, I guess, in a way. Had a decently good upstart. They held Florida State 13 points. Again, at that point in time, we honestly thought it was quite impressive. And then they almost go and beat Missouri. The defense was physical, yet frustrating, extremely. But naturally, when you have a guy like Castellanos, he was pretty much avoiding defenders all game long. Even if there was absolutely nowhere to go, he was just always running. Even if he had a guy wide open down on the seams, he was probably in the backfield still running. I think the defense was good enough to assure a 4-1 start. And then next thing you know, 3-game losing streak. And then, like you said, gets benched. Grayson James comes in here. And then he's like, yeah, you're our guy from now on. And next thing you know, we're 7-6. Similar start to the season, I guess, this year. And then similar end, I guess you could say. James did suffer fewer negative plays and was able to actually get the ball quickly and connect on a lot of deep shots. Those guys are between Lewis Bond on the slot, and then their freshman at the time was Reed Harris. Very small sample, extremely small sample, don't get me wrong. But he ended with one of the better QBR ratings in the conference, right between Shaw and Jennings, which is promising in a way. But Bond Harris combination, I think, is a very nice threat on the outside of the numbers. And then you have running backs who are very young yet very talented. Turbo Richard, Detrell Jones, small samples again. Yeah, Turbo Richard. How about
he's a running back?
That's come on,
perfect.
Come on. I think they did lose a couple of all-conference starters. I don't think there's a much drop-off there, but there should be enough to maintain last season's late momentum in a way, especially if they get something out of the transfers. They did add a guy, it was a wide receiver out of Campbell.
Powerhouse.
From what I'm seeing. And they did get Ty Lockwood from Bama. And then another Bama QB was a part of the QB race.
Yeah, it's him and James are fighting it out in camp.
So, I mean, I do think it's going to be James, but the fact that Dylan's going to be there is honestly going to give him a run for his money, which is going to be nice, depending on if James ends up sucking. I don't know.
Also, quick shout out to Ty Lockwood from the hometown.
They have a secondary that is loaded with freshmen and sophomores, though. Tim Lewis did play pretty soft, I think, in the pass defense, in my opinion, but the run defense is very, very, very talented. They created a ton of long third down, and then they made a very good number of stops on those third downs. Secondary is definitely more seasoned. They have more of a veteran taste in their mouth. They have a
Yep.
captain at linebacker of Davian Crouch. But with last year's obviously top 4 linemen gone, I think he loaded up with 7 transfers on the front of the defensive front. 5 of them are from smaller schools I do not know of, but I just know that they have 5. I don't think any of them. I don't know if a couple of those guys can provide depth for the guys on the edge. Especially, I know they have a veteran on the edge. He was Quintavious Hutchins. Looks like. Don't know that guy. Put up great numbers though. I'll tell you that much. I think a top 50 defense isn't necessarily out of reach. It's going to matter on the offense though. But I am excited to see how James does with a full season of the offense, including with a Bond and Harris guy on your right and left sides to throw the ball to. I think it's pretty fun. So,
And a running back named Turbo.
and a running back named Turbo. That's very true. We do have Pitt next as one of our last ones. We have about 3 more, including Pitt. So we'll go into the schedule briefly and then basically break them down one by one, and then we'll finish off here.
Yeah, so Pitt got the backyard brawl in week 3. Argument of where that rivalry lands in college football earlier.
Okay.
But then they have a bye, then Louisville at home, Boston College at home, at Florida State, at Syracuse, NC State, a bye in week 11, Notre Dame, at Georgia Tech, Miami to finish the year. I know a couple, or I should say I know them, but I've heard a couple other people talking really highly of Pittsburgh. I have a really difficult time seeing it. For one, they haven't been healthy in 2 years now. I think this is 2 years in a row where the offensive line specifically has just been beat to hell.
Right.
So you're hoping that returns back to the mean, but it may be more of a trend now. A lot of people are in on Holstein. I think he's an exciting, fun quarterback, but I didn't see enough consistency here to show me that this is a dark horse ACC competitor.
I don't think so.
They have some good weapons returning. Their running back and top 2 wide receivers are returning, and their defense returns a good amount. It's an older team, that's Narduzzi. He's not a huge portal guy. Much more into the development stages. Older
Not
coach.
a bad thing. Not a bad thing.
No, I think it's better. I think you supplement the roster in the portal and you recruit your guys and develop them. I think that's the way to go, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing now. The defense has to figure out a pass rush. If they don't figure out a pass rush for the secondary, this team isn't winning more than 6 games. I just have a hard time. If you're ending your year Notre Dame at Georgia Tech, Miami, I have a hard time seeing you winning anything over 8 games. And you have the backyard brawl, Louisville, at Florida State, North Carolina State.
Not easy.
I have them at 7. I could see them at 6.
I was going to say.
I have a tough time going over 7.
Oh, easily. 100%. What's their win total right now? Is it 6.5?
Probably 6.5. I feel like all these teams are 6.5.
I was going to say. I have them at 6, if that is. 47th projection in SP+, 3.5 in ACC play. I think one of the things in college football that pretty much makes it so fun to watch.
6.5.
Okay. I'll take the under, maybe.
5.5's juiced to minus 170 if you want
Dear
that.
God. One of the things that makes college football so fun to watch, I think, is the fact of all these teams getting to start out so good or so hot in a way that it kind of makes you think and makes the audiences think that they're a potential contender in a way, but in reality, they just haven't played anybody. That's pretty much how I view the 2024 season last year. They were, what was it? They were 3-9 in 2023.
Yeah.
They hire a offensive coordinator. I think I said they put Holstein in here, and then they started out 7-0, dude.
I'm aware.
And they had a ton of late wins over UC, over West Virginia.
They didn't beat anybody.
I know. And then it's just they had another good win over Cal.
Good.
Syracuse. They won against Syracuse.
Because
3 first half pick sixes.
yeah,
Three.
You don't remember that game?
No, I do. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying that's the sole purpose of that, like being a win.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember just absolutely flaming Kyle McCord that entire game.
I did have Pitt. I do remember.
No,
Because it was a Thursday game. I do remember that. I having Pitt, yeah. I was like, easiest win of my life. This is so easy.
I don't know.
Yeah. So they last year, going on your 7-0 thing, they beat Kent State won at Cincy, beat West Virginia, beat Youngstown State, beat North Carolina,
Oh yeah.
beat Cal, then beat Syracuse.
Oh yeah.
Then they played SMU, lost by 20, lost to Virginia,
Oh.
lost to Clemson in a close game, got destroyed by Louisville,
Ugh.
and then lost to Boston College.
Ugh.
And then everyone remembers the 6 overtime Toledo game.
Naturally.
Go for a touchdown, Narduzzi, in a bowl game one time.
Please.
Anyways, continue.
Like I said, after that, I mean, they clearly struggled. So, if I'm not mistaken, I think Holstein he got hurt later in the year, though, didn't he?
He did, but I mean,
They had a very Swiss cheese like defense. So, and looking into this season, obviously Holstein and Bell are back. Reed is back. I mean, they returned 2 of their top 3 wideouts, 3 starting linemen. Defense returns 4 of the 6 players with at least 8 tackles for loss, and 3 defensive backs. And not to mention adding in one transfer on the defensive side from UC Davis.
powerhouse.
That's it.
Good D2 program.
A Pitt game last year was pretty much guaranteed to have a ton of negative plays and a lot of explosive plays and then a ton of penalties. And it was just volatile ball. Even by his standards, and it's obviously just paid off for them for a little bit, I should say. Reed aside, I think most of last year's most exciting players were pretty much just the younger guys within the freshmen and sophomores. And I think one necessarily how the experience in this team might kind of make them a dark horse in a way. I don't think so. But the late season last year was obviously disgusting. In my opinion, this is a 6-6 team, but it's up to them to prove whether the first or the second half showed us which type of team they're going to be in a way. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Not very high on them. Kind of mediocre, similar to the last 3-4 teams I've been on. So nothing too crazy. It's okay. We got Syracuse after this one.
Syracuse is last.
Syracuse is last. Correct. Go ahead and break down our last ACC team since none of the other bottom tier ones matter.
So Syracuse, have fun with this schedule. So you start with playoff team Tennessee in a neutral site in week 1, which de facto home game. It's in Atlanta. Then you go at Clemson, playoff team. Duke at home, at SMU, playoff team. Bye. Pitt, at Georgia Tech, UNC, at Miami. Bye. At Notre Dame, playoff team. Boston College.
Uh,
So, yeah. Not only that, but they lose the best passer they've had since Donovan McNabb in Kyle McCord, who was
Donovan
awesome.
McNabb to Syracuse, as they say in unison.
Oh, dude, you got to get your ball knowledge up. Yeah. 1997.
I'm just saying that's probably what some people are going right now. So
Okay, well, fair enough. Yeah, not the only reason I know that, but I know that because they played Tennessee in the opener to open 98 up. It was Donovan McNabb. But, anyways, Kyle McCord was really good last year. He's gone. They are going to have a different quarterback. I believe it's going to be the transfer from Notre Dame, if I'm not mistaken.
it is peanut butter jelly time.
So he is going to probably start for them. Also a pocket passer type quarterback, a lot like Kyle McCord, just younger and not as experienced. They lose a lot offensively other than Kyle McCord as well. I think the offense is just going to be – it's not going to be as good as it was last year, unfortunately. However, their defense does return 15 of its top 23 snap count guys. And I think they're going to be better this year. But they went 7-2 in one-score games last year, especially against teams that weren't as good as the teams they're going to be playing this year. I'm not touching this win total or anything involved in Syracuse because I had their under last year and they destroyed me. So I don't trust Fran Brown to do anything I think he's going to do. I think he's going to pull off one of these upsets and probably go 6-6. But I'll go with the pessimistic option of 5-7. But he probably beats someone he shouldn't.
It's fair. I have him projected at 4.8, 2.9 in the ACC. I feel like there's a common theme with all these teams that have done really good last year, and then I'm just absolutely hating on them with projections this year. But that's just the way it is. Last year they did only play 3 teams in the top 40 in terms of SP plus. They did beat them all, but 2 of their 3 losses was by 28 to Pitt and at home to Stanford. They were rough too. That Stanford game was rough, bro.
That's a fun one to watch.
Yeah, I think the opponents made more big plays than them in that kind of sense, though. But they were one of the most fortunate teams, I guess, in a way, because they did have 10 wins, but they still managed to just be breaking the top 50 margin. They were 46th in SP plus. So 46 was obviously their best ranking in 7 years, clearly from what I researched on. They had a leading passer career-wise. They had a leading receiver career-wise. 2 offensive line starters and 4 of their best defenders. Very good sign, And obviously now, after such a good season, things get tougher, naturally.
Because they're all gone.
Exactly. 5 projected top 20 teams. And the offense returns 2 starters. Boy. Okay. They lose their leading rusher, they lose the leading passer, and 3 of their leading targets are now gone. They do bring in Jonte Cook. James Franklin, how do you miss out on Jonte Cook over Syracuse and Fran Brown? You have got to be kidding me. Unbelievable. Up front, they have 2 they have 2 starters returning. 2 of the only 3 guys with more than 40 snaps are back.
40? That's an insane number.
Fran Brown did bring in 5 O-line transfers, but injuries did bring a lot of the guys into the defense at one point. And then of the 23 players who started at least once, 23 players who started at least once on defense 23 guys.
That's a lot of injuries.
23 different guys started.
Hey.
15 of those guys returned. There is not any proven playmakers in here at all. I think they have a good safety. Chestnut is a good guy. Nickel / DB playmaker is Devin Grant. Apparently, they have really good ACC numbers in the conference. I don't really necessarily see anything that's alarming in terms of top 50 defense potential, but the D-line had some good transfers in terms of a couple group of 5 guys. They did get a guy from Cal, and then they did get a safety from Georgia and Chris Peel. Very young guy as well. But massive strength of schedule upgrade in here. Last year, they had an inflated win total and the need for pretty much batch of portals guys on the offensive side. They definitely this year, the odds favor a very, 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 very regressive team. Jake is not willing to make that bet, but apparently I am.
No.
I love Stephen Jelly with all my heart, and I'm praying that he does good because I've loved him in his time here at Notre Dame and for what he's done for us. But Brown pretty much he's barely made a step in this program. And whether you look at last season's numbers or not, I don't think there's anything here to even come in line with the expectations. So don't expect anything relatively close to last year's. That's all I got to say.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm not taking their under.
Flat out.
Nope.
All right. That's fair.
Refuse.
Other than that, if that's all the ACC teams I think we want to talk about today in terms of conference championship matchups and winners, I have to go out on a limb and be different with it because of Jake's just obscured top 2 people, of course. I put Georgia Tech or Louisville playing against Clemson. Obviously, Clemson wins. But I would love to see one of these guys make it, honestly, over Miami. Not that I think. I just have a weird feeling that Crystal Ball keeps his team out of the ACC championship game. I don't know why. I have the weirdest feeling about it. And maybe that means Miami beats Notre Dame in week 1. And quite frankly, I don't have a problem with it because I have them going 11-1 anyways. But I don't know, man. Gut feeling. Georgia Tech or Louisville versus Clemson, okay? I don't know. He's like, but kid, you already had Washington in the Big Ten. I'm going for the freaking clips this year, guys, all right? We're clip farming, engagement farming is what we're doing.
Okay. Well, then this is going to be really boring.
This is incredibly boring. Go ahead. Just give it. Yeah.
It's not a deep conference this year. There's too many teams.
There's a couple of surprises.
I think there are a couple surprises, especially at the top, but I just think there's the top. I think outside of Clemson and Miami, there's the teams behind them have too many flaws. Whether you're looking at SMU and the inexperience on offense and the inexperience on the front 7, Louisville with basically a half team that can't play defense, Georgia Tech. Hope they don't get injured, but like Haynes King, that's what he does. He gets hurt, and he's really physical. As much as I really like Georgia Tech, and I think they could be really good. It's just hard.
Bet to win the ACC with them, and you're not even backing them. That's so
being
sad.
realistic.
That's so sad.
I'm being realistic. I have Miami and Clemson. I have the 2 top teams in the conference. And the reason I have Miami and Clemson is because I also have a future on Miami to win the ACC, which is what we're doing right now. Miami's taking the ACC.
Oh my
All your talk about Clemson.
God.
We have them to win the Natty. We just need them to make the playoff. I think this is the year. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I think this could be the year that people finally shut up about Carson Beck and how bad he is. I think he could. I know, but like all the people
Media
all the
wise,
all the media out there think Carson Beck is so bad.
in the
And
SEC, maybe. In the ACC, he's probably going to torch people. I'm not
yeah,
gonna.
he's playing a different level of defense. Yes, you play Notre Dame and Florida. Neither of those are conference games. So maybe you go 10-2 and win all your conference games. And you're 10-2. Maybe you go 9-3 and lose one. You still make the ACC championship game if you lose one,
Right.
probably. So I
Overall,
just
it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily.
and when your toughest game is Louisville off a bye, and then at SMU, like maybe you lose the at SMU game, but with SMU's schedule, I think inevitably we're going to get to Miami Clemson eventually in this ACC, and I think it's now, and I'm taking Miami.
That is such a hot take, dude. Oh my god.
I mean, it's never happened. It's literally never happened. Literally,
Okay.
I looked it up. I looked it up before we recorded. Miami, just kidding. They did play 2017. Clemson beat them by 35. So that's last time and the only time that Clemson and Miami have played in the ACC championship game since whenever Miami joined.
Fair.
So I'm taking Miami.
See you in January, brother. I guess I don't know.
It'd be December, but yeah.
That's very true. I'm fried. It's okay. Unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the episode today. That was the ACC breakdown. Next week we will have SEC first
Sure.
or Big 12 first. One of the two. We haven't really decided yet, but it's okay. We'll figure it out. SEC and Big 12 next week, though, definitely. Depending on how we do move with the SEC, because it's a largely vast conference with a ton of wild cards. That might be 2 episodes by itself. We do not know yet. So we still have to kind of come to grips with how we're scheduling that.
There will be 2 episodes next week, though.
Either way, there will be 2, without a doubt. And if that means maybe combining, I mean, ACC might be 2. I don't know. I don't know.
Big 12 might be 2, you mean?
Yes.
You are Fred.
Big time. Yeah. Yeah. Can you see it in my eyes? Don't answer that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much all that we've got for ACC today, though. Nothing too crazy. Tried to keep this one a little bit simple. So, and we still went over a little bit of our time, but it's okay.
These will get shorter once we're done with the previews, we promise.
We're trying. It's okay. We will see you guys probably next week, either Monday through Wednesday, and then the episode for next week, second episode next week, will be either probably Wednesday through Friday, one of those 2. So just be on the lookout for those. We'll obviously won't announce it. Other than that, you guys have a good rest of your week, good weekend. Tomorrow's Friday. Peace, blessings, deuces. See you next week.